Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Welcome to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Hello, everyone.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about chiropractic assistants, but more specifically, what they should know when it comes to compliance and how that intersects with their job. Now, before you think this is either redundant or boring, it will be both. No, it won't be. I swear.
Well, wait till I start talking anyways.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Right off the bat. Okay.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. Setting the tone for the episode. It's
There we
beautiful.
go.
So, as a chiropractic assistant myself, starting there, I realized that I was doing and maybe sometimes not doing things that were really considered an aspect of compliance, you know? And that rings from the front desk all the way to billing and thereabouts, right? And everything in between, really, when it comes down to it. But as doctors, do you know what your CA's obligations, expectations, and requirements are when it comes to the large topic of compliance when it's drilled down to the specifics of their job? Might be helpful to know that.
Absolutely. And, a lot of it has to do with, the size of your practice or the number of your employees, number of chiropractic assistants that you have. In our premium program, I call hundreds of offices every month across the country, and many of them I'm speaking with we'll say, managing chiropractic assistant for the office. So their understanding of compliance is fairly extensive by comparison to most. But what if you weren't that person? You're still the person at the front desk. You're still the person dealing with the patients. You're still the person doing your billing. All of these things have aspects of compliance that you need to be aware of.
You know what just popped in my mind is I failed utterly when I was a CA once about a clinical thing that was relayed to me on the phone by the patient. The patient came in as a new patient, filled out all the paperwork, didn't mention what he had mentioned to me on the phone about himself.
Hmm.
I was young. I was green, all right? Say what you will about me. Probably should have fired me back then, but I remember that the doctor I worked for took x-rays. Thank God, because it was revealed in the x-ray, and then he knew that I like to look at them, so he's like, "Come look at this thing." Well, what the patient had revealed to me on the phone that I failed to relay and that, he failed to put on his own paperwork was that he had some kind of a pig cartilage that was surgically wedged between C1 and C2, like on purpose. Like, I
Wow.
don't, yeah, I know your eyes are like something I probably would want to know about, right? Not a
Um,
small thing. Like, this is not a
no,
small
yeah, especially if
thing.
I was going to adjust C1
Oh,
and
yeah.
C2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this was not a small oops by Paul Andrews. Ooh, oh, yeah.
Ooh,
And I don't know.
ooh.
Again, I was young. I was stupid. And, the only way to defend myself was he didn't write it down and didn't tell the doctor for some reason. Maybe because he told me and he thought that was good enough. But like I said, thank goodness he took x-rays and he
Oh
saw this
my
thing
God.
and he's like, "What is this thing? Can you see this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way."
There is a joke in there, something about a pig cartilage in your spine, but I can't come
Yeah,
up with it
I
right now.
can't come
Yeah.
up with it either.
So
Yeah.
everybody out there, just,
Yeah.
talk amongst
Yeah.
yourself.
I know. Well, the joke is like ask your surgeon if whatever they're putting in your body's kosher if you need to be kosher because it wasn't clearly, right?
Right.
Technically.
No.
So I guess as a CA, I learned really quickly that I am part of that clinical team, and compliance is a big deal. It is part of what we do, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's
It was a
patient
learning lesson for
care.
me too. I
Yeah,
mean, as a
it's
CA.
patient care is a team effort, and we've said this over and over again. Your chiropractic assistants are the ones that are your front line. They spend more time with the patient, more likely than you do most of the time. They will tell you things they never tell the doctor most of the time. So if you are that person in your office. It's important that you understand what your responsibilities are. A lot of people use the word compliance and they think it's a synonym for HIPAA, and it's way beyond. It's everything. It's not just HIPAA, it's everything. Medicare, documentation, personal management, risk management. I mean, you name it. It's everything. And the word is all encompassing, or at least Tools of Practice's definition of compliance is all encompassing. It is not just HIPAA. So there isn't anything you do as a CA that in one way or another doesn't have some type of compliance guideline to go along with it.
But let's start with HIPAA as one good example.
How do you spell HIPAA, Paul?
HIPPOS.
Yeah, and we always say this over and over again so that our people know for sure that HIPAA is spelled HIPAA.
That's right. It's helpful to know the acronym.
Mhm.
But when it comes to HIPAA at the front desk, like I'll I'm sure most offices now, just by rote routine, they have a patient sign a privacy policy acknowledgement. But you as a CA, do you, like, know what that actually refers to? Do you have one posted? Have you read it? Do you know what that means? What is it in your office? What is this privacy notice? What does it say? And could you answer a question if a patient asked you?
Oh, I've been in places, I've been to eye doctors, and they make you sign the HIPAA thing on an electronic
Yeah,
pad, but they don't have the form.
it's just a
And
pad.
I'll
Oh, yeah.
say to them, "What is this?" "Oh, that's HIPAA."
Yeah,
Well, what they're really saying is, "I'm signing an acknowledgement that you offered me HIPAA. I said no, and that the
yeah.
acknowledgement details all those things that are an exception to HIPAA. So that's what I'm signing." Instead, they go, "Oh, well, that's just HIPAA." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" "I don't know."
Oh, yeah.
Now, what do you wanna do then? You wanna turn around and walk out. "I don't know." Instead of saying, well, exactly what I said in some form or another, and handing me the policy to read if I want to.
Almost the exact same thing happened to me. I was with my stepfather at the hospital. He was at his primary, and the primary said, "You need to get this thing checked out. Go now." So we went over to the hospital, and we're in the intake at a big hospital. It's not a small hospital, and it was just this little electronic, little like 3-inch by 2-inch black digital pad, and it's sign here. And I said, "Well, what is it he's signing?" It's the HIPAA. It's the HIPAA.
It's the HIPAA. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, can we see it on your screen at least?" Because like, literally had no idea what we're signing, you know what I mean? This is a huge hospital, this is not a small
Yeah.
hospital, and I'm like, "Okay," like, we're all phoning it in when it comes to HIPAA, it seems like, when
Oh,
it
for
comes to
sure.
this, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Oh, when
get
you
it, it's
get
just
the
one more
yeah.
thing to do, but
Yeah. Well, sometimes, you'll see those forms that are in advance and you have a question. I have acknowledged that I have read HIPAA and signed it here, whatever. And then there's nothing in the form that has the privacy notice attached to it. And you skip it. You don't say, I signed off on it.
yeah.
And yet they still go through and treat you as if you did. These are all things you go, "Whoa, that's all administrative stuff, at least to begin with." Certainly, the doctor's fully responsible for everything that goes on in their office, but for the most part, they've gotten past the front line. They've gotten past the second line. They gotta get it to the third and fourth line before somebody might pick it up.
So, if you haven't looked at or even be able to locate your HIPAA privacy policy lately, it's probably a good idea. Maybe share it with at a staff meeting with your CAs, like, just so you can answer the question, and
Yeah,
is
yeah,
everything in there accurate, you know?
yeah. Comes out to be compliance is something that needs to be presented to your staff. Our members get a presentation every year to present compliance to them so they understand. But I'll still get questions where I say, I just got a phone call and they said they're the attorney for so and so and they want me to send the records. I
Yeah.
said, over the phone? I said, yeah. I said, you don't even acknowledge that the patient is a patient over the phone. Well, then they'll say, well, sometimes I get calls, they just ask, is Mark Davini a patient in your office? So what's your answer?
He sure is.
Sure is.
Do you
Your
want his
answer
phone
is,
number?
yeah. And the answer is straightforward. I do not answer questions about patients, whether they are or not patients in this office,
Yeah.
over the phone. Oh, I just want to know if they're a patient in your office. Then send the request in writing with the proper release. Thank you. Goodbye.
Do you want another Paul Andrews example of failing? I got another one. I got
Do
a
we
whole
have
list
much
of them.
how much time do we have? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, everyone. So I had this couple came in. I'm on the desk. This couple came in under motor vehicle. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and they came in at the same time, filled out the paperwork. They were in the same car. So one would assume, first mistake, that everything was exactly the same. Well, they didn't reveal that they had attorneys. So the next time that they came in, well, actually, I think only one of them came in. Like the boyfriend came in, and I said, "Oh, like who's your attorney? Like, do you guys have an attorney?" He said, "Yeah, it's someone." He gave me the name of an attorney. Okay, so then when the other half came in separately at a different time, I said, "Oh, is your attorney blah blah blah?" She goes, "No, I didn't know who his attorney was. Thanks for letting me know." And I'm like, "Oops, guess that relationship wasn't as functional as I thought it was." Sorry.
A lot of times they'll come in and say, "Oh, this is, hi, this is Doctor Davini. Could you tell me if my wife came in to see you?"
Yeah.
And
Oh
most
yeah.
people will just say, "Oh, well, husband, whatever." Number 1, it's over the phone, what I
Yeah.
said before. Right? Number 2, guess what? Whether my wife went to a doctor or didn't go to a doctor, I'm not entitled to that information unless it's
Yeah.
life-saving or altering. So basically you just say, "Well, why don't you have a conversation with your wife?"
Yeah. By the
But
way,
you don't answer these things.
when
You
that
don't.
boyfriend came back in, he was not happy with me for telling
I bet.
his
I
girlfriend
bet.
what I thought was a pretty benign, easy, like, "Okay, I'm not gonna step into your relationship. Don't drag me in, please."
Well,
Anyway,
here's a guideline we always say about compliance, and then everything should be based on this statement. The fact that a patient is confidential. So you don't go beyond
yeah,
that. So it's a simple thing. So, and we look at this and say, oh, well, that there's so much. I said, no, common sense. A lot of it's common sense that you just don't. You just recognize that people who come to you expect privacy. Simple as that. They can
right,
violate their own privacy, but you
right,
can't violate their privacy. And that's just HIPAA. Oh my God.
yeah.
When it comes to compliance, let's just say this right off the bat so everybody understands it. It's a federal requirement. Now, are there compliance police out there right now? Not
Mm.
directly, but indirectly, many people are put under sanctions because of violations of things like HIPAA or Medicare or
It's
documentation
kinda like
or personnel
yeah, yeah.
management or whatever.
It's like a cascading thing, like, yeah, there's maybe not HIPAA police about your privacy policy, but it's like you get pulled over for speeding, and then you got contraband in your car that they see through the window. It just results in more
It's just funny
compounding
you picked
issues.
contraband instead of a broken taillight or something. Yeah.
Well, I'm in Massachusetts, man. Well, hello.
Hello.
Just
I
saying.
know. It can be the secondary thing. You like board complaints. You get a
Oh,
board
yeah.
complaint brought before you if you're a board member and you dismiss the board complaint, but in the process of investigating the board complaint, you discover documentation issues. And now you're stuck because you
Yeah.
can't ignore them. Well, that's compliance. Right now, like the No Surprises Act, I love that one. That's the best. There are no surprises police right now. But if somebody
Right.
complains to you about violating the No Surprises Act, it's a pretty serious charge that you'd have to defend with
Yeah, you'd have
lawyers.
to defend yourself. That's a whole 'nother story. One of
Yeah.
my pet peeves too at the front desk is not making sure the patient filled out all the paperwork. And I always say, like, if I'm seeing the same thing missing and nobody's complaining about it, why is it even on the piece of paper? Just take the question off or take that off if you
Right.
have to or can, like what is the point in inundating someone with information you're never going to use?
Well, it's perfect example. You were saying that was, I practiced in the days that we were quacks for a good long time. And so you'd hand them this
Hey, if it
case,
walks like a duck, it sounds
history.
like a duck.
Yeah. Quack, 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 quack. And you hand them this case history that was fairly extensive. And I mean, more times than you really want to admit, they go, why does he need to know this? He's just a chiropractor.
Yeah, exactly.
More times than I want to admit. But
Yeah.
as time goes on, that gets a little better. But to some degree, it's still there. So if they hand you forms that are incomplete, what do you do with that? You hand them back.
Yeah.
or you walk in with it on a clipboard and say, "Oh, you left a few questions blank. Let's fill them in. What about this and what about that?" And you
Unless the doctor
don't.
says, "Don't worry about it. I don't need to know that." Why are
Yeah,
you
and then again,
asking on a
what's it's
form?
on the form for? Exactly. It kinda comes out to be that it's there for a reason, hopefully, and if it
Yeah,
has a reason, then it needs to be completed, and, oh god, in risk management, I can't tell you how frustrating it is that the question that might be significant for the issue at hand is left blank. So then you ask the doctor, "Well,
yeah.
why didn't you, during your consultation, ask this question again and get it filled in?" "Well, I
I
figured the
can tell you
patient
why.
didn't wanna tell me." Like, "Well,
They didn't even look at the piece of paper, that's why.
no, I didn't wanna go there." Ah, well, yeah,
But
I
in
mean, it's
today's world,
uh,
one of the biggest things that we see that, are issues when we are either onboarding or, working with our members is the cybersecurity issue. The biggest one is sharing usernames and passwords.
oh, oh,
And I can tell you right now, carriers do not like that to the point where I one on the billing side of things, this was years ago, on the billing side of things, the billing company I have, the one of our providers said to, the carrier, they were trying to reset their password or something, and they said, "Well, you know, oh, yeah, we share this with our billing company." That carrier cut them off from portal access forever.
whoa,
They're still contracted, but they had no way of verifying
billing.
benefits through the portal. They cut
Oh
them
my
off and said,
god.
"You're never gonna get access again."
Wow.
I was like, "Whoa."
Whoa. I had one doctor told me that his CA quit, and he has a problem because she's the one with all the passwords of everything.
Yeah.
Getting just opening the computer, all the billing, all the portals, all everything. So I said, "So you can't get into anything?" He said, "No," and it wasn't an amicable split. So every time they tried to contact a person, the phone call was ignored. I mean, this guy went through hell and back again because he didn't follow compliance.
Yeah. So, docs
Mm.
don't have CAs use their personal emails. A matter of fact, if you have a website, it's so much better to get emails with your website. You know what I mean? So, like, we're podcast at allthingschiropractic.com because that's our website, right? That's our email address for the podcast. You should have, it's easy to get, it's easy to sign up for. You should have emails that you control. Better to not have somebody's Google email or Apple email or whatever. You want something that you can be able to shut off because if they no longer work for you, you want to shut that access off immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's all about the privacy, right? So
Yeah.
that staff member no longer works for you. You're the managing CA. You lose a staff member because this is somebody that you manage now. What do you do to maintain compliance? Do you have the key back if they had a key? Do you shut their emails off if they had emails that had access to anything? I mean, what is it that you do? Well, there are things that you're supposed to do, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about all those things in one form or another you're supposed to do.
And you know what's funny is it's getting harder out there. AI is certainly not helping, but also the sophistication of scammers.
Oh,
We see it a lot
oh,
where they'll spoof the email and they'll think that it's coming from you or your office, or you think it's coming from a carrier and it's not. So it's always best like not to click the links in the email, but go to the site directly if there's something going on.
absolutely. Never click on a link to an email unless it
Yeah.
comes from us.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking of that. Unless it comes from us, that's
Unless it
completely
comes from
valid.
us.
As long as you know what's
Uh,
coming from us, though,
as long as you know
that's
it's
the whole
coming from
thing.
us, yeah.
Yeah,
But the whole point is that there are guidance for everything. There's guides for everything. That there is a right and a wrong way in some things, and there is a good and a bad way in a lot of things. And sometimes the bad way can lead to bad things. And now all of a sudden you're in trouble. So compliance is something that needs to be addressed, needs to be taught, and it needs to be reviewed regularly because guess what? It changes. Things change. Oh
Well,
my
that's
God.
why we have members, because they know they can't keep up with it, so we do it for them.
Exactly.
Shameless
And
plug, but
that's the
there it
point.
is.
We do this just about full time. And there's 2 of us, and we know what we're looking for, we know what we're doing, and it's still a task to stay current. So we're not saying this is an easy thing by any stretch of the imagination, but
No.
we're saying it's a necessary thing. You know, 10 years ago, security in your office meant that, you had a simple little firewall that came with your Defender or whatever in Word, in
Windows.
Microsoft Windows, right? Now, I mean, you have to have software on top of your software on top of your software. I had an issue over the weekend where my VPN was in question, meaning my software malware company, I was questioning if they had been hacked. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just a different world today. They weren't, thank God, but the whole
I mean,
point was
the one thing that they wanna make sure of is they don't get themselves hacked.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how bad would that be? But the
Yeah.
fact that I even questioned it tells us that we're
Oh,
in a
yeah.
whole new
Well,
reality today.
alright, so on that idea of IT, you don't have to be an IT, person or knowledgeable per se in technology, but are you still running a Windows 10 computer? Because that's not HIPAA compliant anymore, because Microsoft doesn't support that
Yeah.
operating
We
system.
should bought the security extension from maybe I think it's a year,
That's
you're
over.
in trouble.
And then, are you updating your operating system regularly? Windows, as Mark will attest to very passionately, has way more updates than Apple does. But are you updating your operating system? Those are important things to keep up on, because almost every update, unless it's an enhancement, it's the operating system identifying a vulnerability and security, and it's patching it.
Oh, no, I thought they were fixing, little glitches
Well,
in the
sometimes they
system.
fix glitches and create 5,000 other problems when they do the one
Yeah, yeah,
update.
yeah, we know that all too well
Oh
lately,
my
but
gosh.
yeah, but
But
I mean,
still,
they tell you, they make believe that they're improving it and little improvements to your program, and it's not. It's 90% of the reason why they're giving you an update is because somewhere along the line, a vulnerability has been discovered and they need to close it,
yeah.
period. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. How about
so
your phone too? Like, just as an aside, do you keep your apps updated?
oh, I
Because they
check
don't
every morning.
always update automatically. You have to go into your store and
Yeah.
get them updated.
Yeah, I check every morning. I check my VPN and I check my apps. It's that simple. My company tells me I have 100%, or if there's an update that needs to happen, all of a sudden that percentage goes down. It's a daily thing. And we're
Yeah.
trying to instill this on people like, say, my mother-in-law, who's older, of course, and still uses an iPad, but you still have to say, look, it's not safe like it was 5 years ago. It's different.
Yeah.
Everything's different. So compliance now is part of your job description as a CA. It's not something somebody else in the office does. It's something you all do in one way or another.
And hey, if you're a CA out there and you're listening going, well, I don't know if I have all the answers or resources, shameless plug, tools of practice. Hello. That's what we're here for.
It's what we do.
Yeah. And you have
Yeah.
access, not just the doc, the whole office
Right.
does.
Right. So it's
You
what we
know?
do and it's why we do it because we have recognized the complexity of it all, even in a small
Yeah.
office. We can thank
Yeah.
Obamacare for our job because that created
Mm.
the need for tools of practice.
But hey, and you have, if doctors need to talk to a doctor, communicate, there's Dr. Davini. CAs, if you need to have a CA communicate with you, that's me. So there's two sides of the coin.
Oh
Love
my
it.
god. Yeah. Doesn't
You
get any
know?
be and also the billing, which you also have the
Yeah.
third side of the coin. Do we have 3 sides on a coin?
What coins are you using?
Heads,
Yeah,
tails,
sorry, I'm in
heads.
crypto now. That's my
I'm in
coin.
crypto, yes, there's 3 sides to that for sure, so
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right, CAs, we're here for you, doctors. Share this with your CAs. Let them listen to the podcast so they know that they're not alone out there too, you know?
absolutely,
I'm talking to my
absolutely.
peoples. Yeah,
Yep, my peeps.
yeah,
Docs, make sure your staff knows what you should know.
yeah, there it is. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us for another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
And Dr. McAvini, thank you all.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.